All right, so far we have learned about this sequence and how to convert a sequence which is on a flow chart into these pseudocodes. That was very simple, and we did these selection examples as well last week. So that was quite easy as well. Like every one of you have answer to it very well. So today we are going to go with this example, which indicates the flow chart, which indicates the while loop. Like, okay, Sasrika, yes. As I remember, I gave you a small homework, right? So let's go with that first, right? Then we'll see how the things are going to go. This is the one, right? Yes, people, is this the one? Yeah, so your pseudocode should be something like this. Just check whether you got everything okay with it. So check it out, people. And if you got any mistakes, clear it. And if you are not getting something, so you can ask, all right? So check whether you got it correctly. And you can change the things, change any things to be corrected, right? So it's better you mark it from a red pen. Okay, Sasrika, I received your answer. Yeah, yes. Yes, that's quite okay, Buddha. Yes, that is correct. That is correct. Hold on a second, people. Okay, so who got this all correct? Sasrika's answer is correct. And who else has this correct? Okay, Behara, very good. Others, so please mark your mistakes. It's better you use a red pen. Okay, can we move forward, people? Anyone who is still copying or like marking the things from the screen? Okay, so let's move forward. So we have done the fourth one, and from the fifth onward, we got this these particular things. Yeah, let me arrange this over here. Otherwise, we'll go through the page 11 and 12 as well. Yes. Okay. Now, hear me out very carefully, people. Now, we are going to try, or like we are going to build the pseudocode for this particular flowchart. Okay, Denuka, did I mention about any papers to be done today? Oh my God. Now I have totally forgotten that. Okay. So it's the grade 10, the third term. ICT is on 25th. Hold on. Right, okay. Yes, so let's quickly brush it up then. Hold on a second. I'll take you a paper. So let's discuss about that. Hold on. How about others term test? People, can I know the dates? Sastrikas is on 5th. Okay. Yeah. Some others are having on the Aprils. Okay. Denuka, you are having a grade 11 term test. That of course, Tuta, like then it's going to be, you have to go through with the things, because since we are like going on with the grade 10 stuff, and if we are revisioning it, it would be the grade 10 stuff that we are going to talk about with us. You are from the, yeah. Then you are attending to a international one, right? Okay, then. So then, yeah, yes. Yes, we'll go with the, when the time comes then, right? So yes, so for the moment, let's go with the iteration. Then we'll have the term test. I'll mark it down over here. Okay, so others, it's better you brush things up and have some revisions. So we'll do the revision when the time comes, people, right? Since it is being postponed. Okay, so now we are going to talk about this particular flow chart. Now, how we are going to deal with this? Now, we know this is an iteration, right? We have the idea, we are given the idea that this is an iteration. Yes, that's it. Yes, I got the message. So we'll wait until everything is sorted out. Then we can go for the things, right? Okay, now I want you to concentrate page number 12, as I guess. Yeah, go to page number 12 in your textbook. In page number 12, yeah, rather the 13. 13, example number 3 and 4. Right, go through it. How's the fourth example has done? Right, so they are saying is like finding a total and the average of 10 numbers. Now, if you look closely, you can see they have start with a begin as usual. So here they said total equals 0. So that means what? There is a variable called total and it is given the value, or like total is assigned with the value 0. So the similar way, there is a variable called average and it is given the value or assigned the value with 0 again. And likewise, there is a variable called n. It is given the value as 1. So 3 variables, total, average, and n, is given some particular values at the beginning. So we are telling this as the initialization process. So we are saying these are the values that these variables are going to take initially at the starting point. Now then you are finding something new in your code. It says while. So this is one of the iteration structure. And in that iteration structure, you have a condition. What's the condition? N less than 10. Now, n less than 10, that means it is checking whether the value of n is less than 10. So according to the check, it will return the values either true or false. So with the values that we were considering in these steps, what do you think about this statement? Is it true or false? Here's everyone. N less than or equal 10. Is it true or false? Yes, very good, Udamya. Very good, Dinelka. Right, so it is true because the value of n is 1. So 1 is anyway less than 10, not equals, but less than 10. So while structure works like that. So when you have something to be repeated, those repeating steps should include inside or like in between while and end while. That indicates from where the while condition is started and from where it is being stopped, right? And the statement in between while and end while will be the statements which are going to iterate again and again. So now when the time when we consider this particular condition n less than or equal to 10, for the moment, the value of n is 1. So let me write it over here. Hold on a second. Right, so there is a variable called total at the beginning, and average, and n. So value of total is 0 initially, the value of average is 0 initially, value of n is 1. So they check whether this condition is true or false. So it is true. If it is true, they are about to perform these 3 steps. So the first one says read number. So I'm going to give a value for the number which as a 10. So number is going to become a variable by itself. And Ravindu, yeah, we just start discussing the example for Ravindu, right? So total set to be 0, average set to be 0, n set to be 1, and they are checking whether the n is less than or equals 10. So it is true because n's value is 1, so it is less than 10, so it is true. If it is true, they are going to do this particular step. Ravindu, I'll tell you what is the while, right? Ravindu, while is something that you are going to use to indicate a repetition, right? The third concept of a flow chart, there were sequence, there were selections, there were iterations. No, so iteration or a repetition is going to be indicated by the while keyword. Then the condition must be there, while n less than or equal 10. So if the condition is true, then only you will be able to, or like permitted to, perform these things. Right, so first of all, it will read a number. So I say, okay, take 10 for the number. And it says calculate total equals total plus number. What does this mean? We have done these kind of equations. Total equals total plus number. What does it mean? Add the number to the existing total, right? Add the number to the existing total and make the total variable or assign the total variable with that new value, right? So the existing total is 0. It is given from the here. And number is the one which provided by the user, which is 10. Right, so 0 plus 10 will happen. So finally, the total is going to become a 10. People, is that clear? The existing total was 0, added up with the number which we provided, and then it assigned to the total again. Ravindu, at which point you are not clear with? Ravindu is saying that he can't hear me clearly. Is it same for the others? Okay. Ravindu, Puta, maybe it's a problem with your connection. Others are saying that I can be received clearly. So, yeah, Sukita, there is a news. It seems like the 6, 7, and 8 grades are going to have the examination, but not the 9 and the 10s and the 11s. So still it is not been confirmed, but there is a rumor. Okay. So Ravindu, can you hear me clearly now? Right. Ravindu, what has happened is from this equation, it is mentioning like it is illustrating, take the existing total, which is the 0, and add it to the number that we have entered. Right? So then 0 plus 10 is going to be 10. Then it will be again assigned to this particular total, or like the same total variable. So the number will become 10 once it execute this particular statement. So total equals 10 now. And then it says n equals n plus 1 over here. So n equals n plus 1 means it is increased by a one particular number, right? So 1 will become 2. So now you are at the very last line of the while structure. Right? This is a very important point that I am going to tell you. Since you are at the very last point of the while structure, you are not going to end while. That means from here to here, we are not going to go straight forward from there to there, from here to here. Right? So instead of what they are going to do is, they are going to go from the last line to this particular right over here. And why it is happening? Because it is an iteration. In a selection, there is no such thing is happening. But if it is an iteration, if we are at the end of the particular while structure, you are going to go up and check the condition again. If it is true, again, these lines are going to happen. If it is false, then only it comes to the end while. Is that clear? Okay. And that's it about your question. Do we have to put conditional statements inside the while loop when it has multiple functions? Yeah, there will be situations where you can find a if condition inside a while condition inside an if, and if one if condition is in another if inside another if condition, one while condition is inside another while condition. So it really does not mean that we have to have like multiple functions kind of things. Like there will be multiple conditions where we have to figure out whether it is a like whether what kind of a condition is that. Is that clear, does it? Okay. Now, once it reached to the condition, it is asking whether n is less than or equals 10. Is it less than or equals 10? Is n less than or equals 10? What's the value of n for the moment? Yes. Yeah, that's correct. So for the moment, right. So now the value of the n is 2. How about the condition? Is it true or false? Yes. So we went to the last line after a while, then we came up and checking the condition now. Is it true or false? Yes, that is true. So if it is true, then the read number will happen again. That means earlier we have entered 10, now let's enter something different, 20. Then this line will happen again. Total equals total plus number. That means total is 10 for the moment. Total plus number means, yes, total plus 20, that means 10 plus 20, it's going to be 30. So total will become 30. Right? Then the value of n is going to increase. So that means 2 is going to become 3. Yeah, or Sydney, it is not something very alien. N minus 1 means whatever the value that you got for the moment will be reduced by 1 and referred. Right? So the value of n is 12, n minus 1 is 11. Likewise. Okay. So then value of n is increased. That means we are on this particular statement. Now what are we going to do? Okay. Where are we going to go, people? We are on this particular place. From here, what's the next statement that the program is going to consider? For your easiness, I'll number the lines. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh yes, I got a one answer. Let me see. Yes. Yes, it's going to be on line number 4. So now when it is reached to this point, it is going to reach to the next point. Right, so likewise, each and every time when you reach the end of a while loop, you goes and checks the condition. Now then, tell me when the program is allowing it to come and execute this particular line. Yes, people? Yeah, Udamya, it should be true to do the iteration. I'm asking when it is going to reach this particular one, when it is going to be there on the end while. Yes, Dinelka, that's the correct answer. So after this iteration, it's going to skip on to this particular one. Oh, and I think someone has drawn things on the annotate things on the screen. Maybe it's a mistake. Let me clear it. And let me make the arrangements. So right. Okay. Now that won't happen. So how it's going to be? Yes, Pehara, not when it is equals to 10, Dua, because if the n is equals to 10, it's going to happen these things again, right? Let me clear this for you. Yes, so. Now, if n is equals to 10, this is still true. Right? So when this happens, still this is true. Still the condition is true. So it will read the number. It will calculate the total again. And it will increase the n by 1. And then it goes up and checks the condition again. So when it is incrementing the n, it will become 11. Ravindu, when n equals total plus number, no, it's quite complex. Now this is simple, Ravindu. When the n becomes, n needs to be larger than 10 for it to be false. So when this condition is false, it's going to reach the end while. Right? So understand the nature. Whenever it checks the condition, if the condition is true, the things inside the while loop is going to repeat. When it checks the condition, if the condition is false, it's going to straight away visit to this particular point. Are we clear about this? Okay. Ravindu, how about you? Right, okay. No, Pehara, when it comes to the repeat until and for do, there are some differences. I'll let you know. I'll let you know. Ravindu, to do the iteration, to repeat these 3 steps, this condition must be true. If it falls, it will not run these statements. It will straight away come to the end while and end the while condition. Okay, got it? Okay. Yeah. Ravidu, we are going to do lots of practicals over here. Even we are going to do that tea making process as well. So you will catch it up, right? Yeah, for the moment, that is what you need to understand, right? So let me sum it up. We use the while keyword to indicate an iteration. Then we need the condition for the iteration. And when this condition is true, these iteration steps will happen. When condition is true. Yes, Suzu. Ask from mommy. Then don't, Suzu, because if it lost on the way, you won't be able to find another Minnie Mouse. So keep it on at house and go. Right. So if the condition is true, you are going to do these things. If it falls, if the condition is false, it's going to reach end while. And always remember, at the very last line of the iteration steps, it goes back and check whether the condition is true or false. If it is true, these things will be happen. If it is false, it comes to the end while. Right? Okay, are we clear about this? Right. Ravindu, I think I have mentioned about the physical classes earlier as well in the earlier sessions. We won't be able to do the physical classes, Putta. So due to my time constraints, it's going to be online, right? We are not going to have the physical classes, Putta. It's going to be online always. Right. Okay. Hari, Tesandu, api while කියන keyword එක පාවිච්චි කරනවා iteration condition එකක් manage කරගන්න. Right? එතකොට ඒක දාලා ඊට පස්සේ while වලට ඉස්සරහින් අපි repeat වෙන්න අවශ්‍ය වෙන condition එක ලියනවා. ඒ condition එක true නම් විතරයි while එකේ මේ iterate වෙන statements ටික execute වෙන්නේ. ඒක තමයි while structure එකේ විදිහ. එතකොට මේ අන්තිම පේලියට ආවම හැම වෙලාවෙම එකපාරට end while වලට යන්නේ නැහැ. අන්තිම පේලියට ආවම අපි ගිහින් check කරනවා ආයෙත් සැරයක් මේ condition එක true ද false ද කියලා. ඒක true නම් අපි මේ statements ටික ආයෙ සැරයක් කරනවා. හැබැයි ඒක false කියලා කිව්වොත් කෙලින්ම මෙතනින් end while එක ගාවට එනවා. Clear the right? Okay, let's map this up with the condition or with the example that we did. So I think you can remember the iteration example that we did. This is the iteration example that we had. So now we are going to convert this into a flowchart, right? So let's see how it's going to happen. Now, let me take where is my text? It's over here. Okay. Right. So now you got this flow chart on your books. I want you to refer to those things, right? Then it will be much easier for you to follow, right? So here I'm going to make it happen. So first of all, it's the begin. Right? So begin happens. Then this particular step, right? Yeah, Sasrika, I'll come to that point, Sasrika. එතනට මං ගියේ while එක ගැන කියලා දෙන්න විතරයි, right? So after begin, we are going to input, we are going to say input tea leaves, sugar, and hot water. Right? Then this particular putting tea leaves in the strainer will be there. Then pour in hot water to the strainer cup through the cup through the strainer. That particular statement will be there. Okay. Now refer to your flow chart that we have done. Then after we write about this particular process. Now in our flow chart, this is our next process to be happen. But when you are moving to this particular process, this one, and this one, these three processes are inside the iteration structure. Can you recognize that? These three processes are inside the iteration structure. If you examine the flow, then you can understand that. And this is what is going to be the condition. That means this condition should be goes with the while. Is that clear, everyone? That these three steps are inside the iteration, and this is the iteration condition. Okay. Now we will be finding a little bit troublesome over here, because in the example that we talked about right over here, the condition happens first. And in between the condition and the end while, then only we will be able to put the iterative statements. Now here, iteration happens, or like the statements happens like in order, in an order, then the condition is found. So what you have to understand in this point is, in the flow chart, condition can be anywhere inside the flow chart. Flow chart එකේ ඕනම තැනක condition එකක් තියෙන්න පුළුවන්. Yes, සස්රේක loop එක කියන්නේ iteration කියන එකම තමයි. Right? Condition එක iterate වෙන structure එකේ flow chart එකේ ඕන තැනක තියෙන්න පුළුවන්. But when it comes to the pseudocode, it is must to have the condition at the beginning of the iteration structure, right? So that means we must write, when it is entering into the iterative structure, we must write the word while, since it is the iteration condition. Then you should give the condition, right? මේක හොඳට තේරුම් ගන්න. flow chart එකේ මෙයා ඉන්නේ මේ iteration condition එකේ දේවල් ටික ඉවර වෙලා මෙන්න මෙතන. ඒක කැමැති තැනක වෙන්න පුළුවන්. flow chart එකේ flow එක මෙහෙම කැරකෙවෙන නිසා අපිට flow chart එකේ කැමැති තැනකට condition එක දාන්න පුළුවන්. හැබැයි pseudo code ලියනකොට condition එක තියෙන තැනට ඇතුල් වෙනවත් එක්කම මුලින්ම තියෙන්න ඕනේ condition එක. කියන්නේ iteration එකට ඇතුල් වෙනවත් එක්කම මුලින්ම state කරන්න ඕනේ condition එක. එහෙම නැති වුණොත් pseudo code එක execute වෙන්නේ නැහැ. නැත්නම් logical වෙන්නේ නැහැ. Are you clear with that, people? Okay. Then one another thing for you to understand. Now, when it comes to this example, these three things has happened when this condition is true, right? That is what we discussed. When this is true, these things will happen. So until this is true, these things are going to be iterated, right? That means happens again and again. When it is false, it's going to reach end while. Now, what happened in the flow chart? There is this condition, and the iteration or the looping part or the repetition part happens when the condition is no, that means false. But when we are matching it to the while, there should be a condition. If it is true, then these three things are going to happen. So how can we solve this problem? Flow chart එකේ පෙන්නන්නේ no වුණාම මේ ටික කරන්න කියලා. හැබැයි අපිට pseudo code එකේදී condition එක අරගන්න ඕනේ එයාව yes වුණාම මේ තුන් දෙනා කරන්න. So what can be done? Yes, people? Suggestions? Yes, what should be the condition? Very good. Very good, Dinelka, and very good, Osanda. Yes, we need to take it. We need to have the opposite of the condition, right? The right opposite should be taken. So then what's the right opposite of this condition? Yes, while taste is not satisfactory. No, Ravindu, there are many ways. There are many ways. I'm talking about the while, right? Because while is a universal thing. We can use it for any particular iterations. So the question is going to be asked while අපි මේකට ගැලපෙන විදිහට ලියන්න ඕනේ. Taste is not satisfactory. That's going to be the condition. Then if it is true, then these three things should happen, right? Okay, what is going on? Oh, sorry. Hold on a second, people. For some reason, it's not. Okay. And stirring it well with a spoon. And testing for taste. Yeah, those three should happen. Then the end while should be there. Then what should happen? Once the end while happens, then end while means this iteration structure is done. Iterating things are done. Then what happens? Iterating things are done means you are not going to iterate anymore. So you are going to go on the other path, right? So if that means we are exiting from the iteration. So if you are exiting from the iteration, you just type output a tasty cup of tea. And then you can end. Right, so what we have done, we begin, we input tea leaves, sugar and hot water, we put the tea leaves in the strainer, and then we were entering to the iteration condition. So we check whether the taste is not satisfactory, and we added some sugar, we stir it well. And we taste it, and we are ending the while, and we can output this. Also, it means better you put the output one though, because in the pseudocode, otherwise it won't indicate that this is an output. In the flowchart, we can understand from the shape that we are using, but here we won't be. Okay, are we clear with this, people? Everyone, are we clear? Right, great. Okay, so you can write this particular example as the question. Sasrika, after a while, do we need to press enter? Sasrika, I'm not getting what you are asking over here. Are you asking about the typing or like what? Meanwhile, I'll write the question over here so you can copy it down. Yes, Sasrika, while and end while. Yeah, pressing enter means, Sasrika, I'm not getting that part. After a while, do we need to press enter? Like සස්ත්‍රකහන් දැන් අපි මේක ලියනකොටද නැත්නම් මේක ප්‍රෝග්‍රෑම් එකක් නෙවෙයිනේ පුතා ප්‍රෝග්‍රෑම් එකක් නෙවෙයි මේ සූඩෝ කෝඩ් එකක් මේක කොලයක ලියන දෙයක් We are not writing this on the computer.
එන්ඩොයිල් එකේ අර එතනින් පස්සේ එන්ඩොයිල් කියන එක පස්සෙන් අර වෙන්න ඕන දේ යටින් ලියලා තියෙන. එතකොට වයිල් එකේ මේ ඒ පේලිමයි ලියලා තියෙන taste is not satisfactory කියලා. ඒකත් යටින්ද ලියන්න ඕනේ කියලා.
ඒ කියන්නේ මෙන්න මෙයාද?
ඔව් සර්.
ඒක එතනට ලියවෙන්න ඕනේ පුතේ. ඒකේ ස්ට්‍රක්චර් එක කියන්නේ while කියන වචනේ ගාවම ඔයා කන්ඩිෂන් එක ලියවෙන්න ඕනේ. මේක කන්ඩිෂන් එකනේ අපේ. Hari?
Hari sir.
Right. So here comes the question. Write a pseudocode to make a tasty Okay, so with that question, you can write Let me know when you are done, people. Okay, one is done. How about others? All right. Is there anyone who is still writing? Okay, so moving forward, now we are going to talk about another structure which we can use to write an iteration. That is what we call the repeat until structure, right? Which is illustrated by the third example of yours. Now, here again, I want you to understand what is the structure says, right? Not the program, right? So here, can you see they have used a particular word called repeat, and it is the place where you see the while was used. And in the while loop, there was a condition at this point. But here you don't have a condition. Right? Only the repeat word. So where does the condition stays? Condition stays at the bottom with the keyword until. Right? So first major difference in between the while and the repeat until. In while loop, condition comes at the very first line. In the repeat until, condition comes at the very last line. So the first difference. And the next important difference is in the while condition, what you are written over here should be a true one to get execute these two statements or the statements that you can find inside the while loop. But in the repeat until, this particular condition must be false. Excuse me, must be false to happen or to perform these two statements. So those are the two major differences in between while and the repeat until. මොනවද තියෙන වෙනස්කම්? repeat until එකේ condition එක හම්බෙන්නේ අන්තිම පේළියේ. while එකේ condition එක හම්බෙන්නේ පළවෙනිම පේළියේ. while එකේ condition එක true වුණොත් තමයි while එක ඇතුළට යන්නේ. repeat until එකේ condition එක false වුණොත් තමයි ආයසරයක් repeat වෙන්නේ, නැත්නම් repeat එක ඇතුළට යන්න ආයසරයක් ඉඩ දෙන්නේ. There is another major difference in between while and the repeat until. Since the repeat until is checking its condition at the end. At the end, these two statements happens at least one time without or like the regardless of the condition. මෙතන ලියලා තියෙන condition එකේ තත්ත්වය මොකක් වුණත් මේ දෙන්නව එක වතාවක් සිද්ධ වෙනවා නිතරම. ඇයි එහෙම වෙන්නේ? condition එක check වෙන්නේ අගදී. මේ දෙන්න කරලා තමයි condition එක දිහා බලන්නේ හරිද වැරදිද නැත්නම් true the false ද කියලා. So if it is false, then these are going to happen again. If it is true, then it goes for the next line. Okay, so there are three major differences. Are those clear? People? Okay, great. Right, now, can you give a try to write this particular pseudocode from the repeat until structure and consider it as the second method of this question. This is the first method, so try to write this as a second method. So you need to concentrate on these places and the condition. Be careful with the condition, because here in the while, if this is true, these things are going to happen. When it is going to be a repeat until, the condition should be false for these things to be happen. Right. Okay. Now let's see how this is going to happen. Pehara, I saw the message just now, Dua. Now you can check it from here when I'm doing it. So it's a easy thing that we have to do the second method. I only need to change the word repeat over here. And this condition is going to go here, but without this not word. And this is going to be until. So this is what it's look like when it is done nicely. So the repeat keyword and this will be over this point and until is there and the condition, look at the condition, taste is satisfactory, right? Because these things, these three lines are going to happen if this condition is false. So that means taste is satisfactory. If the answer is no, then these things are going to happen. If it is yes, then we can output a tasty cup of tea. Is that clear? Everyone? Is that clear? Okay. So if you got any mistakes, it's time for you to do the corrections. And then we can move to the next question. Okay, so let's move to the next question. It is based on this particular flow chart. Since this is having two conditions, let's keep it just for a moment. We go with this. This will be much better. Right, so here comes your question. It is something very simple like this. So your question will decorate or moderate like this. Write a pseudocode to make positive integers one at a time and to calculate and display the total. Right, so you can see the flow chart over here. So by looking at it, you can write the pseudocode. Right, and this is also iterating on the no path. I want you to write this by using the while. So that means your condition is going to be change into it opposite, right? So yeah, I'll give you 3 minutes. It's a small one. So try to complete it, people, as quickly as possible. Okay, are we done? Okay, do you need more time? Or I can start discussing. Is there anyone who need more time? Yes, Dinelka? Yeah, that's going to be the answer. Yes, yes, that's correct. Okay, let's see how this is going to happen. So it's quite easy. We can say the begin. And what are we going to do? We have to specify this total equals 0 thing. It is before the iteration part. So total equals 0. Yes, then we are going to enter to the this particular iteration road. And here you have to be very careful with this. Now in your condition is over here. So before that, it is taking a value. So we know in the flow chart, even though the condition is at the middle, we have to write it at the beginning when it comes to the pseudocodes. So we are going to write the while, as it says, is value less than or equal 0, it is asking. Since it is going on the no path, it should be the opposite of this. That means is value larger than 0. That's going to be the condition. So while value larger than 0. Now here we are facing a problem. We are starting total equals 0. We are asking whether value is larger than 0. But in these 3 lines, there is no place that is saying that something has been taken as a value. So because of that, this particular statement needs to be there before the iteration. Actually, that is going to be a duplication of that. මොකද එයාව duplicate කරලා අපි මේ while එකට කලින් තියන්න ඕන නැත්නම් very first value එක ගන්න එක අපිට miss වෙනවා. එහෙම miss වුණොත් අපිට condition එක check කරගන්න බැරි වෙනවා. දැන් මෙතනින් value එක ගන්න නිසා තමයි අපිට මෙතනදී value එක 0 වලට වැඩිද කියලා check කරගන්න පුළුවන් වෙන්නේ. Right? And again, after the condition, this is going to be the first statements inside the condition, as well as we have to put enter a value to take the rest of the values. ඊළඟ values ටික ගන්නේ iteration එක ඇතුලේ. ඒකටත් මෙයාව ඕන වෙනවා. ඒක නිසා අපි condition එක දැම්මම condition එක දාපු තැන ඉඳලා පිළිවෙලට තියෙන අනිත් steps ටික ලියන්න ඕනේ condition එක ඇතුලට. So total equals total plus value will be there. And enter a value statement is also will be there. Right? So after that particular statement, we can have end while, then we can say display total, then we can end. So how this happened? Total is initialized. We are taking a value outside the iteration because we need that value to validate our condition, which is value larger than 0. So inside the while condition, we have the iteration steps. There are 2 steps, and we end the while, then we display it to find the total. Is that clear, everyone? Yeah, Dinelka, can you find the mistake that you have done to her? Ek statement ekak missing. Right. Yes, people, is it clear? Only one has confirmed. How about others? Is that clear? Yes, Denuka, we are writing 2 times to get the value. Like, Denukata metana තේරෙනව නේද? We are having the enter value 1 since we are checking the value on the while condition. So if we do not have this thing, we won't be able to check it inside the while. Is that clear, Denuka?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Then Denuka, once we check the value, it is being added to the total. So total plus value will happen and it will be assigned to the total again. Then we have to ask for another value, Denuka. So if this statement is not there, from where we are going to refer? We can't go here and ask for that again. Because once you enter to the while, it's the things inside the while only. We are not going outside. So if we miss this enter value statement over here, we won't be able to take the rest of the numbers. Are you getting that? Ah, right, okay, great. So that's why we are having this enter value statement again. So it's a program technique, people, right? When the condition needs something from the iteration statements, we duplicate it before the condition. All right, so any more questions regarding this? Okay, so since the time has passed, we have went like 7 minutes later, or like more than 7 minutes, right? So I'm going to end the session from here, people. So by next week, we are going to continue the rest of the things in the while, and we are going to do, or we are going to start the Pascal programming right after. Right, so thank you very much for today, people. I'm going to end the session from here, and the video will be available on the website by tomorrow morning. So if you want, you can refer it again. So thank you very much. I'll see you on next week for the very same time. All right. Thank you, everyone. Thank you very much.